Caving or spelunking is not for the faint-hearted. It involves exploring deep caves where it gets darker and harder to breathe the further you go. Picture squeezing through rocks in complete darkness. But imagine finding a cave filled with sparkling crystals, some as long as a school bus. Even though it looks amazing, you can't stay and admire the beauty for too long if you want to stay safe. So put on your hard hat and walking boots as we talk about why this giant crystal cave is one of the most dangerous natural wonders. We'll also look at other caves that might look beautiful but are too risky to enter. A crystal clearing. Whether it's their supposed healing powers or the way they sparkle in the light, crystals have captivated humans for a long time. In 1910, miners in Neath, Mexico stumbled upon the Cave of Swords, a cavern filled with short, sparkly minerals 390 feet below the ground. Unbeknownst to them, Neath sits above an underground magma chamber. Over a supposed 500,000 years, the changing minerals led to the formation of gypsum crystals in the cave as its temperature dropped. The Cave of Swords held the spotlight for 90 years until 2000, when miners drilling a new tunnel discovered an even more astounding chamber 600 feet deeper, the Cave of Crystals. This cave, filled with gigantic gypsum beams, showcased crystals 5 times the size of those in the Cave of Swords. The largest crystals weighed a staggering 55 tons and measured 37 feet in length, making them the largest crystals ever discovered. However, snagging a souvenir is not an option. The Cave of Crystals maintains a scorching 136 degrees Fahrenheit temperature, enabling the crystals to grow to such enormous sizes. Moreover, the humidity levels reach 99%, making it a challenging environment to endure. Without proper protection, people can only spend 10 minutes at a time in the cave. In 2015, when mining operations ceased, the cave was allowed to re-flood, protecting the giant crystals and closing it off to researchers and visitors. So unless you fancy scuba diving in a nearly lightless, extremely hot and humid cave 980 feet underground, the incredible crystals and the perilous environment they're in are off limits for the foreseeable future. But you know what's not off limits? Those like and subscribe buttons down below. By clicking on them, you'll never miss another one of my amazing videos. All done? Alright, let's keep exploring. The Mount Rainier Ice Caves. The Mount Rainier Ice Caves offer a cool escape from the usual hot crystal caves. These ice caves form when meltwater from rising temperatures carves passageways within or beneath a glacier, creating unique caverns. Photographer Matthew Nichols captured an extraordinary sight in one of these seasonal caves. When the sun hits the glacier's top, its light refracts, producing a vibrant masterpiece on the cave ceiling, a captivating rainbow display. While it might be tempting to linger and admire the colorful roof, these caves are not a place to dawdle. Despite the pretty colors, ice caves are extremely cold, typically at a bitter 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Normal body temperature is around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, and dropping below 95 degrees can lead to hypothermia. This condition can cause your heart, nervous system, and organs to malfunction, potentially resulting in death if left untreated and exposed. However, the cold is not the only concern. During warmer months, melting occurs in the Mount Rainier ice caves. This isn't just about water drops. Chunks of ice the size of small cars can fall from the cave ceiling. Dodging these hefty blocks is one challenge, but even if successful, the risk isn't over. Ice caves like those at Mount Rainier are prone to collapsing due to melting, particularly in the warmer summer months. As recent as 2015, collapses in nearby ice caves have resulted in several fatalities and numerous injuries. So while enjoying the beauty of the rainbow-lit ceiling, it's crucial to be mindful of the perilous conditions. Staying too long or neglecting proper protection could be fatal, emphasizing the need for caution in these icy wonders. Leila Cave. In southern New Mexico, there's a cave called Leila Cave. It's the 8th longest cave in the world, stretching 150 miles and going 164 feet deep. It's super beautiful inside, with lots of rare rock formations like giant chandeliers made of mineral called gypsum and tall stalactites that look like soda straws. However, it's not a place for casual visits. The cave is closed to the public because it's risky. The humidity inside can reach 100%, making it hard for sweat to cool you down. There are also dangerous drops and pits, and even experienced explorers face challenges. In 2014, a rescue team had to help a caver who went just 10% of the cave's known depth. Now let's talk about another cave in Iceland called Queretaro Cave. It may not look like much from the outside, but inside it has clear and bright water. It became famous as the spot where characters Jon Snow and Ygritte had a romantic scene in Game of Thrones. The special thing about Queretaro is that its water is warm, created by volcanic activity underground. In the past, people used to bathe here, but in the 1970s and 80s, the water got extremely hot, reaching 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This could cause severe burns in just 5 seconds. Although the water has cooled to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, there's still a risk of it getting hot again due to volcanic activity. So taking a dip in Queretaro is a risky move, and it's essential to be cautious. Abaco Island Caves. The Bahamas is famous for its beautiful beaches and clear water, but there's also something amazing underground. Underneath the warm pine forests of Abaco Island in the northern Bahamas, there are underwater caves that go on for over 9 miles. Divers can explore the Glass Factory, a cave full of pretty crystal formations like roses, stalactites hanging from the ceiling, and stalagmites on the floor. These formations formed a long time ago when the sea level dropped and the caves dried up. Now these caves are flooded, making them look really pretty, but the formations are actually delicate and can break easily. There's one more thing to be careful about in these caves. There's something called hydrogen sulfide in the air. It smells like rotten eggs and is not good for you. Divers breathe in air from tanks, but hydrogen sulfide can still get through their wetsuits and skin. Breathing it in can make you feel sick or confused, and in some cases it can be really dangerous. Even though the underwater caves in Abaco Island look amazing, it might be safer to enjoy the beautiful beaches in the Bahamas instead. Cueva de Villaluz. When you go into Mexico's Cueva de Villaluz, the first thing you see is beautiful turquoise water. It looks nice, but there's a scary truth about this place. The cloudy look in the water isn't from a fancy bath bomb. It's because of hydrogen sulfide, a not-so-friendly gas. Unlike the small amounts found in the Abaco Islands, this gas is not only in the water but also in the air you breathe. I mentioned that swimming in hydrogen sulfide can be bad, but having it in the air is just as dangerous. Just 5 hydrogen sulfide particles per million can make you feel sick and have trouble breathing. However, in Cueva de Villaluz, the concentration can go up to a super high 210 particles per million. At these levels, explorers can get really sick. They might have red eyes, problems breathing, and even fluid building up in their lungs, which can be deadly. And if that wasn't enough, the indigenous Zoque people have a yearly ceremony here. They throw a paste called rotenone into the water. This toxic stuff kills the fish in the cave, but it's also bad for people. Eating rotenone can cause throat problems, stomach pain, throwing up, and even seizures. So unless you want to face these dangers, it's probably a good idea to skip Cueva de Villaluz. Orda Cave. In Russia, there's a special place called Orda Cave under the mountains. It doesn't look like a regular cave. Instead, it looks like a fancy swimming pool in a spa, but it's real. The water in Orda Cave stays super clear because of the rocks in the cave. These rocks attract tiny bits of dirt, and when they get heavy, they sink to the bottom. This lets divers see more than 150 feet in front of them. But here's the tricky part. Even though it looks nice, the water in Orda Cave is very, very cold, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. To go in, divers have to wear special suits. Without them, just 5 minutes in the freezing water can make your hands stop working. After 25 minutes, you might pass out, and if you stay in longer, it can be really dangerous. The cave is not just cold, it's also a bit mysterious. Some divers say they've seen a lady in a white dress floating in the water. They call her the Lady of the Cave, and they think she helps and protects divers. But sadly, not everyone who goes into the cave comes out okay. Over the years, about 300 divers have lost their lives in the cold waters of Orda. So even if a mysterious underwater figure seems friendly, it's important to be really careful. The Shaft. In 1938, a farmer in South Australia found a small hole in his field. only about 1 foot wide, but it wasn't a typical animal burrow. It led to a huge underground cave called the Shaft, going down about 460 feet below the ground. The tricky part? It's all underwater, so if you want to explore it, you need a wetsuit. Australia has many sinkholes like this, some big enough for scuba diving, but the Shaft has a scary story. In 1973, 8 divers went to explore this underwater cave. Everything was okay until they left the well-lit part and found a side tunnel. At that depth, they started feeling something called nitrogen narcosis, making them confused and disoriented. Luckily, some experienced divers went back up, but 4 stayed deep underwater. To make things worse, they stirred up the water, making it hard to see anything. Imagine being underwater, feeling dizzy, and not seeing a thing. Scary, right? Sadly, the 4 divers who stayed down there didn't make it back. Another sinkhole nearby, Kilsby Sinkhole, has also been dangerous, causing accidents and taking about 12 lives since 1969. So even though these underwater holes might look interesting, it's safer to stay away from them. Nutty Putty. Nutty Putty, situated in the scenic hills of Utah, may look peaceful, but it's actually one of the most dangerous caves globally. This cave, known as a hellhole, has about 1,400 feet of extremely narrow and claustrophobic tunnels. Many cavers, despite the risks, enjoy exploring these tiny spaces. In 2009, explorer John Jones found himself trapped in Nutty Putty. Attempting to crawl headfirst through a tight passage, he realized he'd gone too far, ending up upside down and stuck, nearly 400 feet from the cave entrance. Despite efforts to rescue him, including using a rope and pulley system, an equipment failure made the situation worse. John became unresponsive after more than 24 hours wedged upside down, and unfortunately, he did not survive. The cave, now permanently closed, serves as a memorial to John Jones, reminding everyone of its lethal nature and the risks associated with exploring such challenging environments. Little Neath River Cave. Little Neath River Cave, located in South Wales, may seem like a peaceful river entrance, but it's deceptively dangerous. Popular among experienced cavers, the entrance requires crawling on hands and knees through a narrow gap on the riverbed. Passageways inside are so confined that cavers sometimes have to remove their helmets to fit. Aside from the risk of getting stuck, explorers must be wary of flooding, especially during sudden rain surges. Imagine the challenge of squeezing through tight gaps and then finding yourself neck-deep in water. To make matters scarier, cavers need to navigate a 500-foot-long passage with a low ceiling, crawling almost completely submerged. Despite the challenges, those brave enough to explore Little Neath River Cave are rewarded with stunning calcite formations. However, the idea of crawling along a riverbed to see them might be a step too far for many. Colossal Caverns. Colossal Caverns in Abkhazia, Georgia, is home to Queretaro Cave, often referred to as the Everest of caves due to its depth. The deepest explored point reaches around 7,215 feet below the surface, roughly a quarter of Everest's height or equivalent to 5 stacked Empire State Buildings. Descending and ascending through this colossal cave system can be an arduous 2-week journey. The cave is a complex network of terrifying winding and wet passages that seem endless. Some sections are flooded, requiring the use of diving equipment. While Queretaro isn't a straight-down drop, it still poses risks. The big cascade pit within the cave plunges almost 500 feet, presenting a daunting challenge for any explorer. Some caves, like Georgia's Ellison Cave, feature even deadlier drops caused by erosion from powerful underground waterfalls over thousands of years. Fantastic Pit in Ellison Cave, for instance, has a stomach-churning 586-foot vertical drop, comparable to jumping off a significant height. Seattle's Space Needle. Seattle's Space Needle might not sound too fantastic, but if that doesn't give you vertigo, the Miaokeng Shaft in Changxing, China certainly will. This vertical shaft descends a skin-crawling 1,660 feet, earning the title of the deepest unbroken vertical shaft globally. If you were to stumble down this sizable shaft, you'd be falling for over 10 seconds. While these caverns offer gorgeous views from the bottom, the journey down is undeniably scary. Kitum Cave. Kitum Cave in Mount Elgon National Park, Kenya might look like it belongs in a holiday brochure with lush green surroundings and a waterfall streaming over its entrance. However, beneath its picturesque appearance lies a deadly secret, making it one of the world's deadliest caves. For centuries, elephants have ventured into the cave to scrape away at its salt-rich walls. While meeting an elephant in a cave sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, these massive creatures have unintentionally flattened around 500 humans a year, making stumbling across one in a dark cavern quite undesirable. In 1980, Charles Monet explored Kitum Cave but encountered a difficult danger. After leaving the cave, he developed an excruciating headache, followed by fever, nausea, and vomiting. His symptoms worsened, leading him to Nairobi Hospital, where black vomit and fluid leakage from every orifice marked a gruesome turn. Monet did not survive. 7 years later, a young Danish boy with the same symptoms was admitted to the same hospital. The common factor? Both had visited Kitum Cave. A research investigation revealed that bat poop inside the cave, specifically from Egyptian fruit bats, contained the Marburg virus, a deadly disease with a 50% case fatality rate. Considering the risks, whether from elephants or deadly viruses, Kitum Cave seems like a place best avoided. Which of these caves scared you the most? Are there others you know of that should be avoided? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.